What's up, world? This your boy Tommy Mav, and I really I'm not coming on here to do like a big story or even really talk that long on this issue because I really don't have the time to. But I just wanted to speak in light of the Lakers beating the Nets. Just wanted to put some context into this because there isn't a lot of it generally. I mean, what else is new, right? It's the internet. It's generally little to no context or clarification. Everything's kind of all over the place. So I generally find it's my job to bring objectivity sometimes to these situations. Now, this is what I will say I learned in this game. I learned exactly what I said would work. If you slow the game down, force them to beat you in the half court, especially without James Harden. If you force them to beat you in half court, they're not as effective because when you're in half court, it takes way more chemistry than when you are just running up and down, throwing just passing. See, at the beginning of the game, they tried to do what they did to the New Orleans Pelicans to the Lakers. Difference was the Pelicans really didn't have a fast enough big man to guard, and Chris and for some strange reason, Steve Nash keeps using. He didn't use him like that against Zion, but this game he did the same exact thing he did the game before last, which is he had LaMarcus Aldridge trying to play power ball. That is not LaMarcus Aldridge's forte. That's not what he's good at. Okay, I understand you're playing a Laker team and you're trying to establish yourself in the paint and try to play but they played the Lakers game tonight because the Lakers forced them to. The Lakers didn't switch much of anything. I'm sorry, not much. They switched a lot. But the problem with the Lakers, and which is why they've continued to kind of stay above water now offensively, as I said a couple weeks ago, they're very, 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 very limited. They've added Drummond and McLemore, which is kicked up. McLemore spreads the floor for guys like THT, Crusoe, and Schroeder. So he's a great addition that I didn't even pay attention to McLemore until I found out after I did the video. So I didn't even know McLemore. They picked up McLemore until literally like a day ago. Like literally, I just figured that out. I didn't even know that. So that was pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? I did not know they got him. I liked him when he was in Houston. Anybody who thinks he's going to be the same type of player that Wesley Matthews or a lot of the bargain basement guys they were getting from other teams, he's not. McLemore is the thing that makes McLemore different is McLemore is a dog. You know what I'm saying? Like he almost when he was playing with James Harden, it's like he relishes big moments and he plays well in big moments. So I think he's a great pickup for the Lakers. Do I think still that the Nets and the Lakers are on par? No, the Nets are different. As I said before, I think the Lakers have the talent to beat them. I just don't think that the Nets. I think it's going to take a Herculean effort. It's not going to take it's not going to take just great defense. Because as you saw tonight, no matter how much defense you put up, when you have guys like Kyrie and KD, they're going to make their shots and they're going to make their runs. Now, obviously, you bring in AD and LeBron with Drummond. It's going to make Drummond get more one-on-ones. As I said before, he has a Shaq feel to him. He's very limited outside of the paint, but in the paint, he's very dominant. But the problem, once again, with Drummond is that he can't shoot. So when you're playing a center that relies heavily on getting into the paint. It's generally, if you get someone big enough, if you put a big enough body, like say they're playing the Mavericks and they put somebody like Boban on it, Boban will give Drummond problems. Now, the cool thing about that is when you bring an AD back, now it frees up AD. So AD doesn't have to really worry about that. But I don't want to really go into a whole dissertation on this. I really wanted to just talk about one specific thing, which is Kevin Durant. I think tonight you got to see on a larger scale what I've been saying for the last 2 weeks. I think it was at least 2 weeks when I talk about the difference between LeBron James and Kevin Durant. The difference between LeBron James and Kevin Durant is LeBron James is going to get the absolute most out of everybody on the court with him. Kevin Durant is a great player, but he's not a great passer. He's not good at reading defense. You saw today, almost every time they caught him in half-court situations, it was laughably bad. It was laughably bad. He is not good in half-court. He's almost, today I literally, during the game, felt bad for him. Like, I felt bad for him because he was horrible. He would get double teams and wouldn't know where to go with the ball. He would get these double teams and you would see them come out to double team. You would see the easy pass. He would try to penetrate on the double team and then he'd get caught and try to throw the ball. It was bad. Like, it was bad. Like, Dennis Schroeder ran circles around Kevin Durant today. Kyrie Irving played a good game up until the point, and people keep saying, well, he got thrown out. But at the time that he got thrown out, I think at the end of the day, Kyrie Irving is going to get his points because most of the time the teams are not. You can tell the central thing that they were trying to do today was stop Kevin Durant and LaMarcus Aldridge, because that's a smart thing to do. Stop the guys that can get easy points and force the ones like Kyrie Irving to make hard shots. And Kyrie Irving was making a lot of hard shots, but he was missing them too. So they kept it close. As you can see, it was 71. It was 66 to 62 when Kyrie Irving got booted. Right? I really don't think it would have made much of a difference. Because I think the Kyrie Irving had that run in the second quarter, like towards the middle of the second quarter, where they brought it down to from 12 or 13, and they caught up and they took the lead, and then it dropped down about 66 to 62, and I really think it was mostly because they would take advantage when Drummond would come out. So I think once it was established that Drummond was going to play, a longer extent of minutes, because with Drummond in, they really just can't do anything without Harden. See, Harden is a bigger body. Kyrie Irving is good, but he has to maneuver around big guys because he's so small. He's not small for a normal person. He's small for a basketball player. He's only like 6'2". So he has to maneuver around a guy. He's not like a James Harden who can take the contact and still finish. You know what I'm saying? And Kevin Durant is as I stated, he's soft. Like Kevin Durant has, if his shot is not falling, it can be really easy to shut him down. And tonight his shot was not falling. And it's one of the rare times where Kevin Durant's shot just wasn't falling. And I think it was because he was forced to do more. When you have to second guess whether you're going to pass or shoot, it's that second that throws off your rhythm. When it's easier, that's why I laugh at people who when I tell them, when I said LeBron would, I know a lot of people didn't take me serious the other day when I said that LeBron James is the most advanced basketball player that has ever been. Because you're not going to find many people who can do that well, who can switch. Like even Chris Paul, he has to go into one or the other. He can't be a primary scorer. Most of the time, he has to do one or the other. He has to either be a passer, and then in rare cases where he's forced to score, he has to score. LeBron James is the only person who can navigate that well, knowing when he turns into the primary scorer and when he turns. Harden is very good at that. knowing when it's his turn to become the primary scorer. That's why I say this game, I'm not really taking a lot away from this game. They didn't have Harden. And Kevin Durant can't run D'Antoni's system. The funny thing is, it's almost like he's too good to run D'Antoni's system. If you don't get what I mean, if you watch Kevin Durant, Harden is limited in a way that Kevin Durant is not. Kevin Durant can shoot over most people, so it's hard for him to figure out when he's supposed to pass and when he's supposed to shoot, because he can pretty much shoot when he wants to. So Harden, on the other hand, he's been in the system so long, he knows it like the back of his hand. He knows what to do when he gets a double team, and I think a lot of those times when the Lakers were rushing, Harden would have made a better decision than Kyrie and Kevin Durant were making. Kyrie Irving is a scorer. He just scores. So no matter what you throw at him, he's going to dribble around it until he gets an open shot and shoot it. You don't have to really worry about him. That's why I said you can tell the Lakers weren't really worried about stopping Kyrie. They were just like, a lot of times you would see, like they would just stop. They just wanted to force him to shoot. They didn't really care about him penetrating. Right, so because they knew once he was short and once he got to the rim, they could just show a body. He'd have to make it difficult on him. Kevin Durant was who they was trying to stop. You can tell by the Aldridge and Kevin Durant. Aldridge, they were trying to force him. They were trying to make sure that he didn't become a shooter. But the problem with that is that Steve Nash never forced the issue. He never forced Aldridge to shoot. Aldridge kept trying to take it into the low post and play like he was DeAndre Jordan. And I don't understand why they have games where they did every time they play a good defensive team where they're forced to play half court offense, they turn him into basically LaMarcus Aldridge. Not LaMarcus. They basically turn him into DeAndre Jordan. It's crazy to me. Every single time. Therefore, because they were playing the Knicks, which is also a very good defensive team, they did the same thing. Whenever you force them to play half-court offense, just like the Knicks did and like the Lakers did tonight, they have problems. Even when when you take Harden out, they have problems. They have problems with him in the half-court, especially now when I just found it funny. I found it almost laughable when I heard Mark Jackson say that the Lakers weren't going to have to adjust. The Nets weren't going to have to adjust when the three of them started playing together. I'm like, I don't know how someone that's played in the league that long can truly say that he does not think that it's going to take time for them to gel. No, if you're just running up and down the court, no, it's not going to take time to gel. But as you saw tonight, when you force them into half-court offense and force them to have to pass the ball around, chemistry, look at this, it's just random passing. It's just random passing. Nobody's making cuts. Nobody's cutting to the basket. It's just random pass. Nobody's cutting off. Nobody's cutting to the rim. Everybody's just standing out at the 3-point line, passing it around. And you saw the Lakers. They were cutting. They were flaring. They were doing so many different things. The Nets had no chance of really winning this game because they just didn't have any chemistry defensively or offensively. And it looked laughably bad because really they just based, if it wasn't for Kyrie in that first half, it would have been a blowout then. Kyrie, because basically Kyrie kept them in the game because he was making a lot of difficult shots because they were giving him a lot out of Aldridge and him and Kevin Durant. They gave him the one-on-one. They figured they were going to force Kyrie Irving to beat them, and for the most part, he was keeping them in it. But once he left, now they can just focus on stopping KD and Aldridge, and they really had nothing else. And really, I thought that Kyrie Irving was going to get stopped sooner or later. You could already start to see his shot starting to hit the front of the rim. Tall tell sign of fatigue. A lot of his shots were hitting the front of the rim. Towards the end of the second quarter, like almost all his shots were hit because he had to work so hard to get a shot. And as impressive as it is to see him dribbling around like crazy and then turning around and firing these hard shots, he has to work extremely hard to get those shots. He's dribbling and bouncing and moving. That takes energy. So you can tell by the end of the second quarter, all his shots were hitting the front of the rim. All of them. And by the fourth quarter, it would have been, I think sooner or later, Kyrie Irving would have ran out of steam. and it would have been that anyway. I think the Lakers would have probably won, probably not by 30, but they probably would have won at least by about 12, regardless if Kyrie was in or not. Because I just think defensively they're just more of a cohesive unit. The Nets are just all over the place. I mean, the Nets look awful tonight. Just awful. It wasn't it wasn't a bad shooting night for them. You know, they just didn't have any open shots. Like I said, it's a difference when you have something like that last time they were playing, when you have guys just bricking wide open shots. The Nets had no open shots. The Lakers, because what they were doing wasn't complicated. They had no, like I said before, there was no chemistry. It wasn't complicated, and defensively they were awful. They had no chemistry, and I don't think that's going to change when Harden gets back. So offensively, I think it is going to be a testament, but I think that that what it showed me tonight is that last game was a fluke. That at least I have to see more tape, but it looks like Steve Nash doesn't know how to use LaMarcus Aldridge. He doesn't know how to use a big man that spreads the floor because they don't really need it. So instead of him trying to get Kyrie them to more utilize Harden, what's his name, Aldridge in the mid range, they're all just playing iso ball without Harden, and it looked terrible. And like I said, and KD was laughably bad. Like, he was laughably bad tonight. He still was KD. He was still making his shots, but as a playmaker, it was bad. It was bad. I saw him turn over like 5 or 6 times, and I'm hoping that you guys paid attention to what I said last time when I stated that if you really break it down, every single time the Nets are in a half-court offense where they don't get a fast break, they either miss the shot or it's a turnover. And that was the case even with Harden. You know, but the difference in the situation is when you have Harden, you have that threat of with Kyrie Irving. He's not the drive. He's not the body that Harden is. So you can, and he's not the passer that Harden is. So they really missed Harden tonight, and I think it was obvious how much they missed Harden tonight. But what I did figure out tonight is they're gonna have a lot of problems. And as I said before, I thought teams could beat them, but I think it's way more likely now that teams can beat them, because I think the Lakers just put out a blueprint that a lot of teams are going to follow, which is slow the game. As I said last time, slow the game down, force them to beat you, force them to play half-court offense, and they've shown tonight they can't. They can only run. They can't. They're not a smart team, and they have no chemistry in the half-court. Soon you stop them in the half court, they resort to street ball, ISO, and I don't think that's going to change when Harden gets back. If you watch Aldridge, even in that play, it's ISO. You know what I'm saying? ISO on the block, ISO in the mid range, ISO at the top of the key. They don't have any, like, if you watch the Lakers when they're in their half-court offense, how they're switching and cutting and diving to the rim. The Nets weren't doing that. If you watch the Nets, they're just kind of standing around and waiting for somebody to make a shot. And that in the same, that's just not gonna work. And teams saw that tonight. And I think what they're going to do is teams are gonna start doing it now. Say, oh wow, they are just laughably bad in the half court. So we're just, and this right here made no sense to me. I have no idea why Dennis Schroeder got thrown out. Kyrie Irving was aggressive. Dennis Schroeder walked away from him. I guess after Kyrie got kicked out, Dennis Schroeder must have said something off camera that I didn't see, because he didn't seem like he was confused that he got kicked out. So. But yeah, but at least, you know, I'm just glad he got kicked out, because both of them were playing really well. So it was kind of a wash. Actually, at the time, Schroeder had more points than Kyrie. So it was kind of a wash at that point. So the Nets fans couldn't really use it as Kyrie got kicked out because they lost Dennis Schroeder too. And I told people last game, Dennis Schroeder versus Kyrie Irving, Dennis Schroeder is a better defender than Kyrie Irving is. So when you switch it around, Dennis Schroeder with not playing in the last game was a huge deal. Anthony Davis not playing in the last game was a bigger deal than Kevin Durant not playing in the last game. And that's what I said. So anyways, please y'all comment. Let me know what y'all think about the situation. I just wanted to do a quick little video just to give you guys my thoughts on that. So please comment, thumbs it up if you like it, and subscribe. Alright y'all. Peace.